This is the story of a boy who has always been bullied in school for his eating disorder. But one day, fate smiled on him, and he suddenly acquired strange powers that made anyone who hurt him feel the pain instead.
You can't hurt me.
What'd you say, freak?
Now he can do whatever he wants to, and with anyone, anywhere he wants. This is the recap of the movie Unhealer. Enjoy the story.
One bully down. 3 to go.
The story starts with an elderly, intoxicated man named Pfluger, who is seen digging up a grave marked with religious symbols. As he exhumes a skull, a mysterious white smoke bursts out and knocks him down. Shortly after, the story shifts to a teenage boy named Kelly at a convenience store. While browsing the store, he sees Dominique, a childhood friend and his longtime crush. After exchanging pleasantries, Kelly steps outside only to be harassed by 3 bullies, Nelson, Reed, and Brad. They mock him for his strange compulsion to eat non-food objects like paper and styrofoam. They continued their taunting until Dominique stepped in and told the bullies to back off. But they were not done as they pushed Kelly into a trash bin and recorded the humiliation. They even uploaded the footage online and worsened Kelly's already damaged reputation in school as the video went viral. In the meantime, we see an indigenous man named Red Elk who has just discovered the desecrated grave, and he offers prayers to honor the site. Back at home, Kelly's health suddenly deteriorates due to his persistent consumption of inedible materials. His concerned mother eventually invites the doctor to see Kelly at home. In the end, the doctor recommended some psychological treatment for his condition. Pfluger, meanwhile, begins showcasing what he claims are miraculous healing abilities. He seemingly cures an elderly woman's joint pain, which astonishes the local residents. Curious about his powers, Bernice approaches Pfluger and tells him about her son with the hope that he can help him. Pfluger accepted the invite and prepared to go with her. But before he could leave, Red Elk confronts him and warns that the power he stole from the grave carries consequences. Pfluger, who was not in the least concerned about this, insults Red Elk, which provoked him to hit Pfluger. But something strange happened. When Red Elk tries to hit him, the force of the action rebounds onto himself. The healing power Pfluger now has appears to deflect harm back onto the attacker. This totally amuses Pfluger, who dismisses Red Elk and proceeds to Kelly's house. When they arrive, Pfluger attempts to heal Kelly, but something goes wrong. Upon touching the boy, Pfluger is overwhelmed by a powerful force, making him quickly retreat, clearly disturbed and shaken. He then excuses himself to the bathroom, where he tries to calm himself with alcohol and some drugs. Moments later, he makes a second attempt. This time, the cigarette he was smoking drops from his lips and burns into Kelly's chest. Suddenly, Pfluger starts to tremble and eventually collapses shortly after. As he was dying, he muttered a final curse. Strangely, as soon as Pfluger dies, Kelly recovers instantly. This both surprised and amazed his mother. Moments later, the police arrive to take Pfluger's body, and Officer Adler gives Bernice his number in case of future issues. After the police left, Kelly noticed that the cigarette burn on his chest had healed, and that he had undergone subtle physical changes. Soon after, Kelly discovers he has inherited Pfluger's powers. This realization becomes evident when Reed tries to bully him again, but ends up injuring himself instead. For the first time, things seem to improve for Kelly, who also secures a job at a pizza restaurant. However, the newfound powers bring complications. That evening, Nelson and Reed's father, Whitcomb, shows up at Kelly's door, accusing him of assaulting his son. Whitcomb remarks on how unusual it is for Kelly to overpower Reed, considering their history. However, Bernice becomes angry by Whitcomb's insinuations, and she defends her son. After sending Whitcomb away, Kelly confesses his new abilities to his mother. Though amazed, she worries for his safety and urges him to keep it a secret between them. Meanwhile at school, Kelly starts to notice strange effects his powers have on others. Like when Dominique drops a hair tie on his desk and Kelly eats its tag. He immediately starts an unusual connection between them. He begins to have disturbing fantasies involving Dominique and her friend Sarah, which seem to influence the girls in the physical as well. During the intense moment in class, Kelly's vivid imagination manifests physically, causing an embarrassing incident that sends him running to the bathroom. Later that evening at a school party, Kelly noticed Nelson behaving inappropriately toward Dominique, picking her up without her consent. Enraged, Kelly confronts him, but before things escalate, Whitcomb intervenes and separates them. Later that night, Brad and his friends spot Kelly riding his bike home. They attempt to intimidate him by swerving their car dangerously close, but Kelly acts undisturbed. Frustrated, the bullies give chase. In the resulting encounter, Brad loses control of the car and hits Kelly. However, when the dust settles, it's revealed that Kelly is unharmed, while Brad's skull has been mysteriously crushed, leading to his death. Trying to recover from this experience, Kelly shares his entire ordeal with Dominique, who had also arrived at the scene. He tells her everything, including the revelation of his magical powers. Meanwhile, Nelson and his friends lie to the police, claiming that Kelly was recklessly riding his bike in the middle of the road, forcing Brad to swerve and crash. After a preliminary investigation, however, the police clear Kelly of any wrongdoing. In the meantime, Red Elk learns of Pfluger's death and visits his grave. After examining the soil, he concludes that Pfluger had lost his powers shortly before his death. Upon hearing about Kelly's miraculous survival in the car accident, Red Elk visits Kelly at work to confront him. When they meet, Kelly tells him although he was treated by Pfluger, he has nothing else to say. Upset by Kelly's nonchalant attitude and ability to move on with his life after the accident, Nelson and his friends decide to avenge Brad's death by targeting Kelly. They plan to destroy Kelly's trailer while Bernice is away for her night shift. Unknown to them, Bernice was ill that day and has decided to skip work. Kelly, who was with her that night, goes into town to buy medicine for her. He takes his mother's car, and when the gang saw this, they assumed it was Bernice leaving. Moments later, Nelson and his friends hook the trailer to their truck and drag it off its supports. Although they wreck the trailer, they struggle to unhook the chain and ultimately abandon it and leave the scene. Meanwhile, inside the trailer, Bernice struggles to escape, but a gas leak ignites, resulting in a devastating explosion. By the time Kelly returns, the trailer is engulfed in flames. Devastated, he races inside in an attempt to save his mother, only to find her already dead. He is grief-stricken, and he is eventually taken to the hospital for treatment. There, Officer Adler convinces the attending doctor to keep Kelly admitted for an additional night while they make arrangements for his care. In the meantime, Red Elk, who shares Native American roots with Adler, soon arrives and informs him of Kelly's emerging powers. He advises Adler to speak with the boy, but Adler refrained from doing that as he believes that it is not the appropriate time for that since Kelly is still mourning. Red Elk respects the decision and offers his help whenever necessary. At Bernice's funeral, Dominique stays close to Kelly. When he eventually broke down, she is there to support him and also remind him of how proud his mother will be of him. In the end, Kelly insists on staying strong in her honor, but also confesses his plan to leave town. Saddened by the news, Dominique shares a quiet moment with him, and the two kiss before letting go. Later that day, Kelly visits Pfluger's grave and consumes a weed growing nearby. The act causes him to vomit violently. Unknown to him, Sarah, Dominique's friend, is observing the scene from a distance. That same day, while Officer Adler was driving Kelly to the social services, he revealed that the trailer had fallen off its supports before the gas ignited, an indication that the explosion might not have been accidental. This made Kelly immediately grow suspicious. Meanwhile, Nelson and his friends remain unremorseful. Knowing their role in Bernice's death, they choose to hide the truth and head to Riverbend for a weekend together. On the road, they spot Adler's car with Kelly inside, and they immediately start to mock him. Infuriated, Kelly immediately leaps out of the vehicle and trails the group into the woods. At the river, Tucker removes his shirt and swims while the others play nearby. Seizing the moment, Kelly takes Tucker's shirt and rips off a piece and strangles himself with it. Simultaneously, Tucker begins to suffocate in the water. The group watches in horror as he continues to struggle until he drowns. Moments later, Kelly eventually emerges and boasts about orchestrating Tucker's death through his own pain transference abilities. Now totally scared, Reed tries to run away, but he is soon apprehended by Officer Adler. Seeing this, Kelly is forced to escape, leaving Nelson and the others to explain Tucker's death to the police. When they accuse Kelly of killing Brad, the officers are skeptical and instead suspect the boys of being responsible for their friend's death. That night, Kelly goes to Dominique's house. When she asks him about the Riverbend incident, Kelly tells her that he has a plan to avenge his mother's death. However, Dominique pleads with him to seek justice instead by getting Nelson and his friends to confess rather than resorting to killing. Kelly agrees, and the two share another kiss. The next day in chemistry class, Kelly deliberately provokes Tony, one of Nelson's friends, to elicit a confession about Bernice's death. Nelson tries to calm Tony down, however. When Kelly insults Tony's girlfriend, Sarah, Tony finally snaps. He was fully enraged as he threw the acid on the table at Kelly. However, due to Kelly's powers, the acid backfires, severely burning Tony instead. Tony collapses in agony and dies shortly afterward. Furious, Sarah kicks Kelly in retaliation, but she ends up injuring herself instead. Dominique, who is horrified by the unfolding chaos, is left speechless as the teacher arrives with Officer Adler. Kelly ceases the chaos to run away from the class. After escaping once again, Kelly remains at large, prompting the police to shut down classes until he is apprehended. That night, Sarah, who's still grieving, visits Nelson and proposes a plan to avenge Tony's death. She recalls seeing Kelly eating some leaves at Pfluger's grave that made him sick, and she convinces Nelson to retrieve it with her. Meanwhile, Officer Adler contacts Red Elk, and the two excavate Pfluger's grave. At the same time, Whitcomb takes his sons to football practice while keeping a watchful eye on them. During the practice, Adler approached the boys to question them, but Whitcomb jumped to their defense. However, Adler notices the chain used to dismantle Kelly's trailer in Whitcomb's truck. Confronting Nelson and Reed once more, Adler questions them about the chain, but they deny any involvement. Moments later, Kelly arrives at the field, armed with an electric drill, and he immediately gets empowered by consuming a piece of Nelson's clothing. In response, Nelson opens a can containing the weed extract he had taken from the desecrated grave on Kelly, just as Kelly drills into his own leg. This directly transfers the pain to Nelson, who collapses in agony. Adler pleads for him to stop, but Kelly demands a confession regarding his mother's death, and he refuses to stop until the truth is revealed. But Dominique intervenes, as she urges Kelly to stop before the situation gets too bad. Seizing the moment, Nelson sprays Kelly with the weed extract and its powers temporarily paralyzing him. In the chaos, Whitcomb grabs Adler's gun, but Kelly was able to redirect the fire to hit both Nelson and Whitcomb and kill them. Totally shaken by the series of events, Dominique confronts Kelly about how violent he has become. She urges him to relinquish his powers, and Kelly reluctantly agrees. With Adler, Red Elk, and Dominique, he returns to the cemetery to perform the cleansing ritual. As the ceremony begins, Dominique kisses Kelly for strength. Soon, Kelly begins convulsing uncontrollably. Alarmed by this, Dominique begs Red Elk to stop the ritual. But before anything can be done, the police arrive. The police, who were confused by the scene, ordered everyone to freeze. When Kelly attempts to escape, an officer opens fire and the bullet hits both Kelly and Dominique. Although Kelly survives, Dominique is fatally wounded, and in her final moments, Kelly kisses her goodbye. Totally consumed by grief, Kelly consumes Pfluger's remains in an attempt to kill himself and stop the effect of the powers. As he dies, Adler asks Red Elk if the powers have transferred to him, but Red Elk denies it. As the film ends, we see Dominique's body being transported to the morgue. As the vehicle drives away, she suddenly sits up, signaling she has inherited Kelly's powers and closing the story on an unsettling twist. And that is the recap of the movie, The Unhealer. If you enjoyed the video, consider dropping a like on the video and subscribing to the channel. See you in our next recap.